השם אדוננו, עמו אדיר שמך, בכל הארץ אדיר אדירנו. השם אדוננו, עמו אדיר שמך, בכל הארץ אדיר אדירנו. You are the real, some other new, and my addition for the soul, and that you are the real, some other new, and my addition for the soul. I can I before the orange. Hashem, I'll go. Fire,
All right. On salue tout le monde qui est branché me saluer tout le monde. All right, I want to say a big shout out. Hi, everyone. And give me a second. I'm just going to fix my screen. Just give me 1 second. All right, I don't know if everybody see me now. So if you see me, just let me know. Avraham, what's up?
Hey Max,
How's everything, man?
doing good. Been working on school today, but for the most part, doing really good.
All
How
right.
are you?
All right. Thank God I'm good. And thank you for asking as usual. How was the family?
Family's good. Family's, busy, but hanging in there.
All right. Awesome. 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 I want everybody to know the background you see behind him is a lake in a blog he got. They call him the Spread the Torah. So, as everybody knows, he's a Jewish. So, we try together to read, to know the Word of God. And I hope if you want to check it out, so I will share the link. Everybody want if you want to know about more, so I can always share the link and you can see how it all about. Maybe I will give him some time to talk about later. So now I'm glad you're here, man. And it's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a while. So I wanna say hi to the CEO of the organization. Right now, you see it's God Worshippers. It's a global organization. Now we're trying to do something better, and that's why we try to reach out all the people we know who believe in God, and we talk about knowledge. We talk about social stuff and everything. And I just want to start to thank you for being able and agree to speak with me on that topic today, which is can we how we talk about mental illness. Did mental illness can coexist with spirituality? I'm just gonna give you some time to talk about yourself, present yourself, tell them who you are, because right now you're live on YouTube, same thing you on Zoom. So if you want to share the link with your people, like your friend, family, they can go on YouTube and watch you talking this evening. So I'm just gonna give you some time to talk about yourself and present yourself, tell them who you are. All right? I'll be right here.
sure. Thank you, Max.
No problem.
Um, so yeah, as Max, as you said, it's taken a while. We've been talking about this probably for 2 years now, this idea, and deeply humbled because I'm not generally a person to come on and talk and share my opinion. So like, uh, thank you for this opportunity. A little bit about me. My name is Avram. I have a second name. It's the Y stands for Yehuda, and my last name is Ross. Um, so professionally, I've been working for OHEL for the last 4 years. That's how I know Max. We work together in the same department. And personally, ever since I was 14, I've been writing a weekly Torah blog. The difference between my Torah blog and maybe some other ones that you may have seen is that I take the lofty ideas that come from the Bible, that we are, supposed to read every single week, and I try to make it practical. Sometimes we don't specifically understand what it's trying to teach us, or what, it's something that was created so long ago. How does this practically affect my life today? And that's generally my idea. Trying to make things more practical, be motivational in a way, because we're all going through stuff, in our personal lives. Um, Ultimately, I mean, I'm on this journey as the same as everyone else. I don't have any like expert opinions. Um, but if I can do something that might help other people, that's what I'm going to do. And then in terms of educationally, I'm in school, so I've been pursuing my bachelor's at Turo, and hopefully next year I'm going to be pursuing my master's. So that is a little bit in a nutshell about me. My goal is to try to transform the world and make it a better place. So yeah.
All right. So, as I know, not everybody else know it. I wanted to ask you some couple questions because before you go, we go deeper on the topic today. So I would like to ask you some question about yourself, and I don't know if it's okay with that.
Go for it.
All right, no problem. I do know you study psychology right now. So why take you like give you interest to study psychology?
Sure. So I like understanding, maybe this is weird, but I like understanding why people do what they do. Let's say I'm seeing someone walking down the street and they do a certain behavior. I like to understand why they're doing that behavior. What's their motivation? Um, what's their thought process behind stuff? Because I think people are driven by either past events or driven by their own experiences. And in this world with many, many, many people, we're going to have similarities and we're going to have differences. Um, and so I want to see like kind of what their similarities are, how maybe it will relate to my experience, and also how it might different, how it might be different for them. Um, and so I just find it interesting, which is ultimately why I decided to go into psychology.
All right, thank you for the answer. And I got another question. I know you for working at OHEL for last 2, 3, or 4 years until now. And then tell us, what do you see in people make you feel like you can work out everything you study right now to make these people feel okay?
Right. I think ultimately when it comes down to someone struggling, um, I mean, for most people don't work at OHEL with me and like didn't work at OHEL with me and you. So working at OHEL gives me the opportunity to work with people who need some extra lifeline. They may want some support. They might they want to become independent. And ultimately working with them and seeing them grow, that's what inspires me to come to work every single day because it's working with people. And when I work with people, I'm inspired to push myself to continue to grow. And while I've been in school, I've learned a lot of different things and that I certainly apply to my work life. And if I can apply my school life to my work life, it definitely makes it more interesting and it helps me to continue in my work.
All right. Thank you again, man. And I really appreciated the answer. And now let's go deeper on our topic today. And like everybody are waiting for right now, and people on YouTube, we know you already there, and you'll be happy to understand and listen to what we have to say this evening. And as you know, today we're gonna talking about like how do mental illness and spirituality can coexist. For my Haitian friend, and nous allons parler aujourd'hui à comment et santé mentale avec spiritualité capable d'exister tous les deux. So nous parlons qui problème qui gagne là-dedans, qui j'en ai essayé gérer yo. And then after that too, nous allons essayer bao quelques solutions, du moins quelques bagages qui existaient, comment ou même ou capable d'essayer gérer tête dans ça. What I just said is like for my Haitian friend, we're just gonna tell them so how mental illness and spirituality can coexist, or how we can have some issues and bring some solutions, according to what issues you get and make it everybody feel better about it. All right, that's what I just said. So right now, my first question, I already asked for it about you. And one last question about you, brother. It's about like, do Ram Ross has a wife? Do you married and everything? Because yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been married for 2.5 years now.
All right, all right. Thank you. Kids or no kids? Because everybody want to know,
No, no kids, no kids.
All right. Thank
Max
you
asking the
again.
important questions here.
Of course, of course, of course. I'm not gonna miss that. All right, so I've been working with Avram for a couple, 2, 3 years, like I said previously. So he's an amazing guy. He's the one who make me understand, or if I can say, before I met some Jewish people, I always have a reserved thought about myself and about these people, because for me, it's like Jewish people always separated from us, um, because they think they are better. That was the thought I have, and they think they are more important in the eyes of God. When I met Avraham, it was totally different. It was something else. And he taught me a lot of things I didn't know. I even go to a Shabbat dinner one day where I always said to people, if I didn't eat, I could have died because I have to wash my hands 6 times. So thank God, I've been learning a lot, and thank you, brother. And like I said, you like a brother to me from another mother, and I really appreciate that, and I thank Hashem for that too, because with you, I started meeting other people in my workplace right now, and everybody think I'm a Jewish right now because the way I present myself, the way I'm talking about the Torah, reading your blog and reading everything you have been taught me. And I think so. I thank God for that. And I think I'm gonna keep going on that too. And thanks a lot. All right. My second question was like, what is the proper definition of mental illness according to you?
Sure, yeah. So as I mentioned, like I'm not in any way an expert. Um, I mean the if you Google mental illness, it says that it's, and even practically, it's anything that will affect daily life. Whether it's a person's thinking, a person's behavior, mood, it's something that significantly impacts daily life, whether that's relationships. So for example, let's say, um, I mean, OCD, especially within the framework of spirituality, is something that, let's say someone has OCD, they're going to, or in many cases, they're going to do a spiritual act to the T, like exactly. But yeah, the general definition is something that significantly impacts daily life.
All right. So as you mentioned, OCD,
Mhm.
I want you tell everybody what does that mean? Does the acronyms OCD?
OCD is defined as obsessive compulsive disorder. Um, the stereotypes for that would be um, someone who likes, like, they have compulsions,
Mhm.
and they, let's say they they're leaving their house. Those compulsions are telling them kind of, did you kind of shut off the light? It's like constantly going on in their minds, um, kind of reminding them that it has to be a certain way.
Mhm.
Um, that's what I've observed.
Okay, so that's mean if someone always find things in disorder, so they trying always to make it fix or to make it like in order. So that's what you mean, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, and it
Mhm.
kind of like, so let's say in the context of spirituality,
Mhm.
someone who the Bible has a set of, I guess we could call them rules, right? Rules and
Mhm.
regulations. And I've seen this in the way where you have to keep those rules 100%, every single like idiosyncrasy of those rules, to the
Mhm.
point where nothing else can exist outside of those rules. Um, and that you drive everyone around you to also keep those rules the same exact way as you might experience them.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I got it. All right. Thank you for the answer. So the second question is about what is the difference between mental health and mental illness?
Yeah. Mental health, so mental health in general is how we are on a physiological, meaning a psychological state. So whether that's emotional, whether it's social well-being, whether it's um, emotional balance. So ultimately, it's how we're doing emotionally. Mental illness affects mental health, but thinking of it like two big bubbles. Mental health is the biggest bubble, and then inside that, there's mental illness. Mental health everyone has. We all have mental health that we have to keep in check and keep in mind. Mental illness, not everyone has it. Um, So mental illness, as I said, is something that affects the day-to-day life, significantly affects the day-to-day life. Mental illness, mental health, like specifically, would apply to everyone. Um, but it is something that we have to work with. It's our social and emotional well-being.
Okay. So, if according to your answer, I can say everybody has mental health.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, but not everybody has mental illness.
correct.
So if I would like to take an example about mental illness, what would it be?
Mental illness would be something from the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, which is examples of this could be, as I said earlier, OCD, schizophrenia,
Okay.
um, things like bipolar.
All right. All right, that's good. All right, thank you. Another question, because I'm here to ask questions. So you better
Mhm.
be, you better sit straight because I need answers. The other question I have right now is like how we can identify mental health person, like someone who has mental health. How we can identify someone like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, from what I see, good mental health is people who have positive relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They are able to cope with whatever's going on in their lives. They're not depressed in any way. Um, anxiety is a big one. There's anxiety, but there's also being able to face that anxiety and overcome it. Um, so something that might come up is, oh, well, I have anxiety, so therefore I'm not in a good mental health state. I don't think so. I think that good mental health is knowing what the struggles are and
Mm-hmm.
being able to combat it with some positive functioning.
Okay. So that's only that way I can identify someone who have mental health. And right now, so what are the symptom or the sign if I can, if I'm seeing someone and I can identify that person have mental illness.
I mean, it's also it's gonna vary based on the person, right?
Mhm.
Um, like someone could be ha someone who doesn't have mental illness can be having a really bad day, and I could be walking down the street and I'd be like, oh, he has mental illness, you know. Um,
Okay.
yeah, or like someone like me who has anxiety, someone sees me and they go, oh, he has mental illness. No, 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 I just had a bad day. You know what I mean? Like
All right.
it's hard to pinpoint exactly what the symptoms and signs would be, but something that comes along with it would be um a lot of sadness, a lot of mood swings, a lot of worry and fear, someone who's always by themselves, but that's um not specifically that they're by themselves, but they're doing it based on anxiety or fear. Um, they're not sleeping regularly, things like that. Um, some people even experience hallucinations or delusions. So
Okay.
like
Mhm.
but again, it's very hard to like pinpoint specifically, but and again, I'm not an expert in this field yet,
All
but
right, I got you. No worry.
yeah.
All right. So another thing, I've been seeing people walking on the street or driving, and then there was one problem we always encounter when we're driving on the road and meet some other drivers. It's like they call it, I think so in the auto school, they call it driving school, they call it road rage people. So did I can put that under like under mental illness or mental health? Or when I encounter with someone who have that person has road rage. So how can you identify that? Is it mental health or mental illness?
It's a good question. I mean, all the questions are good, but this one
I
got me to
wasn't
think
able
a
to
little
take
bit.
my other question not good. Maybe that one is the better one.
No, 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 they're all good. Um,
uh,
no, so I would have to look it up. I would have to
mhm.
look more into it.
Okay.
But my first thought is that road rage stems from something else.
Okay.
Like it's only the effect that's coming out. Like for example, um, and now I'm thinking on my feet of a
Mm-hmm.
good example. You do something,
Mm-hmm.
and the effect of you doing something causes you to do something else. So road rage might be someone's reaction to the anxiety and the stress of the road, but
Mm-hmm.
they might have other anger within their lives in other areas of their lives. It just
Mm-hmm.
comes out when they're on the road.
Okay.
Um, so while road rage might not specifically be in the DSM, that
Mm-hmm.
anger might be in the DSM, and that's when it just gets let out because it's a great place to let it out. You're on the road, someone sets you off, and you're like, I hate everything, and then you just explode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't really answer your question, but I would have to look more into it.
All right, then that's fine. Thank you anyway, Thank you, but I think so. I get satisfied with that. And the other question is we spoke about a lot of mental illness and mental health, and really glad and thank you for that. Now we just gonna shift it to the other part because the remember that the topic tonight it's how do mental illness and spirituality coexist. So we spoke about mental illness. We say a lot of stuff about mental health. But right now, so what is the right? Like you always said, you're not professional in this and that, but I think so. There is nobody is professional in spirituality because everybody's seeing Steve differently, right? But the
Mhm.
thing is, according to you, what is the best definition or meaning of the word spirituality?
Yeah, thank you. Spirituality is something that, I mean, on the basis of it, it's something that you cannot see. We have a material world in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Anything beyond that is spiritual. So let's say God is a spiritual concept. I mean, it's a higher power, but it's a spiritual concept. Um, nature, like anything, nature can be a spiritual concept. And it's like a connection with the world, but something that we cannot see. So, for example, if I have um, a pen in itself isn't something that's spiritual. It's a material object.
Mm-hmm.
But when I use that pen to create something that's positive within the world, that becomes more of a spiritual thing. I'm using it to do karma could be explained as a spiritual concept because I might be doing something now and something else might happen later on in my life that I can and did not see. There's other examples of this within divine intervention, right? Let's say I do something and then it causes a ripple effect that might um, give me a certain satisfaction later on in my life. Um, there's a lot of like spirituality or spiritual concepts within the Bible. I mean, the whole entire Bible is the 10 plagues, right? If when we talk about God or godliness, that often it gets to spiritual. So basically, spirituality is anything that we cannot see. Um,
Oh, all right. All right. I think so. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks again. And thanks again. And yeah. And thanks again for everything. But I think it's a good definition because when I ask the question, like I said, everybody has a meaning to it. Everybody seeing it differently. For me, it could be have that meaning, and for other people, it could have that kind of meaning. And thank you for yours, and I really appreciate it. So right now, the question is, how can we know because we have been like listening to people talking about so for us as a Christian, we always said some people said, I'm not going to the church. I'm not going, but that doesn't mean I'm not spiritual, you know? But I know for some Jewish people, they have been saying the same thing because I've been talking with others and they said, I'm not religious like other people. I'm this, but I know God exists. I know everything. But, and for us as a Christian, people said, I'm not going to the church because I am the church and I'm spiritual. If I want to talk to God, I can talk without need, with no need for the church. And then right now, if there any clue we can have to know if someone is spiritual.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point that you brought up, especially
Mhm.
because I believe that there is a difference between religion and spirituality, but we'll get to that later. Um, in terms of knowing if someone is spiritual, well, are they people who will meditate, um, or practice mindfulness, or are they only practical and material? Someone who's often focusing on the material aspects of the world and only the material aspects, meaning not believing in any higher power or even nature. So that's someone who wouldn't be spiritual. I think that someone who's spiritual would lean more towards meditation, lean more towards nature, environments, higher power, godliness, any of the spiritual concepts that they relate to. And that again, that could be very, very broad.
All right. Really appreciate it. And the my other question is like, did spirituality mean being part of something evangelical or something else? Because for us as a Christian too, because I'm talking about according to my Christian life and Christian faith. And for me, it's like there is some people they used to say, so you come to church, I come to church too, but we serve the same God, but I'm more spiritual than you. And I know, like I took the example before, is like for you as a Jewish, people keep saying like I remember I met someone at my workplace, and that guy is a nurse, and he said, you know that person? I said, yeah, because I was talking to another Jewish girl. And then he said, I almost think you are Jewish. But I said, I know. But the thing is, I have some people I know. And he said, they are religious. I said, I don't know. What do you mean by religious people? Because if you're Jewish, everybody is Jewish. So all Jewish is Jewish. But I don't really see being religious, being less religious, being mild religious, or being more religious than others. As we Christian, we keep saying, for us, some people might say, I can go to church, I can pray, I can read my Bible, but other people might say, I'm more spiritual than you. Is there like a meaning for that, to being more spiritual than others, or more religious than others?
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing, and my opinion on this is that spirituality
Mhm.
and religiousness is not like a competition in any way. It's not like a, oh, I'm better than you, or no, there's no place for that. I think that each person has their spirituality level.
Mhm.
What is okay, so I'll give you an example in my life.
Yeah.
Spirituality in my life is my connection or relationship to a higher power. In this case, I believe in God. So my relationship and my connection to God.
Mhm.
That is also an ever-changing thing. Some weeks, some days I'll feel closer to God. So therefore, I'm more spiritual, but not more spiritual compared to Max's spirituality. I'm more spiritual compared to my spirituality. So it's never like a competition or like a comparative thing because I'm spiritual with my relationship to God, and you're spiritual according to your relationship to um whatever it is that you believe in, right?
Mhm.
Because each person has their own spirituality. And I think the same thing, I mean, I don't religion. So religion is I mean, in general, religion and spirituality, I think are two different things. There's the religious practices of doing something together with a group, and then there's like spiritual practices. I think religion, um, if someone goes to shul one time or to synagogue or to church one
Mhm.
time and but then spends their time at home practicing becoming closer to God, I don't think that they are less religious. I just think that they're not organizing that in that specific tradition. I think that there is a separation. Um,
Mm. Okay, so is that mean being spiritual doesn't mean be a part of evangelical or anything according to tradition?
I think those two can be separated, yeah. Um, I think it can exist outside of the religious community. Someone can be completely spiritual. And we could talk all day about how it's better to be part of a group. Um, or it could be better to be part of a group because there's camaraderie, there's a community. Um, but someone who's not part of the group, it doesn't make them worthless or negate their level of spirituality in any way.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So now, so how mental illness, that's right the topic we're talking about right now. So how mental illness and spirituality can coexist. Now that's the question.
I mean, I think that it generally coexists very nicely by itself. Um, Sometimes it creates a lot of negative environments. I think there's a lot of struggle within it. And sometimes, especially in my experience, it's created a lot of like struggle and guilt and doubt. Um, there's a lot of like feeling bad or and especially going back to the last example where someone is told that they're not religious enough or someone else is more religious than them, it kind
Mhm.
of creates, it does create a very negative space for them. And ultimately what happens is they they feel worthless, their self-esteem goes down the drain. They're not connecting with the behavior or they're not connecting with the thing that they're doing. And ultimately what happens is that they don't want to connect with their spirituality. They don't want to connect with a religious practice or religion at all. They really don't want to do anything. And so while mental illness and spirituality could coexist, sometimes, especially nowadays, it can be hard and it's not a fun place to be.
All right. All right. So according to you, so
Mhm.
they can coexist by thinking like right now we live in the world, we think like the world is not the right place to live right now. Is that you mean?
So what I mean by it coexisting, I think that if we created a safe space for people with mental illness within the spiritual, within spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
that would help it coexist much better. Um, some communities do better at it, some communities don't. I think that not giving people with mental illness the feelings of guilt, the feelings of doubt, the feelings of low self-esteem, it can coexist better. Um, Not only are they dealing with mental illness, they're also dealing with being attacked by the religious or spiritual community. And it's not driving them towards being spiritual or religious, it's driving them away. I mean, like if I walked in, if I was trying to do something and someone said, no, you're bad and you're not good, well, I wouldn't want to do it. I would run the other way. And I think spirituality and religiousness, it's a relationship. And when someone attacks my relationship, I don't want to do it any more than I would have, on a regular day.
All right, that's good. All right, really appreciate that. All right. The question right now is there is there like any solution with someone who's been dealing with mental illness? According to you, do you think there is like a medicine for that, or there is a solution, or maybe there is a way you can help? Because I know you work at OHEL, and that's what we do. That's what we're trying to make people feel. But do you think, personally, is there any solution for that?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not a professional in this.
Mhm.
I could tell you what I've seen and what I've done. I think that there's room for professional help. There's therapy, there's support systems. And again, making the environment as comfortable and as safe and helpful as possible will help someone with mental illness to continue to live life. Um, and it's a positive, it's a plus if they can live a spiritual life while also having mental illness, because then they're not only not afraid to get help for their mental illness, they're also not afraid to leave a spiritual life wherever that spiritual life leads them. And that's based on their relationship, right? Again, it's not a I am better than you, I have a better spiritual relationship. It's no, I have a relationship and that's what suits me and that's what um helps me to live my life the best.
All right, that's good. That's good. And like I said, man, it's okay. But right now, if I do have mental illness, right, and I'm acting weird, you as my friend, do you think that can be contagious? Contagious, like I can pass you that same mental illness I have? Do you think you can start acting weird the way I'm acting up? I'm acting up. Sorry.
So I think that mental illness is biological, although behaviors when you're around someone who has a mental illness,
Hmm.
um, I think that is more of more contagious, as you're saying. So I think that like it's not genetic, but I think environmentally, let's say we're friends, right? And we're hanging out and you're struggling with something and I'm someone who's susceptible to whatever my friends are feeling, I think I will pick up on certain behaviors or certain things. Um, and that's why it's important to have a good support system. Like, wait 1 second, I'm going a little bit too far on this one. Um, I need to pull back. I need to put up boundaries and make sure that my mental health and my practices aren't affected by whatever environment I'm in. Because
Right.
ultimately, I
Hmm.
mean, even in a workplace, right? If a
Yeah.
workplace has like toxic environment, people get affected by it. So if you know you as my friend, if we're hanging out and something's happening to you, and I care about you, so I would probably be affected in that way. I don't think genetically or biologically I'm gonna get the same mental illness, but definitely I would be affected by the environment.
All right. So that's mean mental illness. It's genetic. It's not contagious that way, but at the same way too, mental health can be contagious. Is that what
Hmm.
you mean? Okay,
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
means the same way you feel um pushed, or the same way you feel affected by the environment. So that's mean if I'm your friend, because I'm care about you, I can get affected too, right? All right, so that's mean mental illness is not contagious, but mental health can be.
Yeah.
All right. All right. That's cool. That's cool. So is there any trigger about mental illness? Is there something we can trigger the mental illness?
Yeah. I mean, if there's, let's say there's a traumatic environment from the past,
Mhm.
that can sometimes trigger. But again, it's not a one size fits all. So like each person might be triggered differently. Let's say someone with autism might be triggered by loud noises, but what by while someone else might be triggered by the lights. Like it really depends on the person. So it's not a one size fits all, but yeah, there are definitely triggers that come up, especially when it comes to religion or spirituality, because what often happens is that people don't have the best experiences, and that the experience of spirituality or religion kind of brings them back to a time where it was toxic and not helpful for their mental health at all whatsoever.
Okay, so while you were talking, and there was one question coming up in my mind right now, I'm gonna ask it. And even you don't have the answer right now, or any way you wanna answer it, that will be fine.
Mhm.
And nowadays, we realize in America, mostly, we see a lot of kids get born, and then after the birth, and we realize they got autism, and it wasn't that way before. All right, and for that, and after they get born with these symptoms, like having like OCD, like you said, but being with autism, and they are artistic. But the thing is, as long they grown, they be in the family, we realize the same people we have been friends with that family, with this family, and the same spiritual leader now put that family away because of that kid. So is that a good way to treat or to support that kind of people or this person who has this child like has autism, or what do you think could be more better or could be good for the spiritual leader to act? What is the best way this spiritual leader can act just to support that family who has the autistic kids? Sorry.
So just to clarify, your question. So a spiritual leader, let's say someone has an autistic child, a spiritual leader takes the child away from the family. And your question is that good, or should there something different happen?
No, no, no. I mean like sometimes we see these people, this family who have autistic child, right? And the way the leader treat the family is different for other people who doesn't have no child who have autistic. There was a
Uh,
different way they treat that family. So because according to the mind, it's like your kids has a problem, your kids has an illness. So we cannot deal the same way we deal with other people who have like a right kids, like a normal kids. So is that okay? Should they treat them differently? Or according to you, everybody has the same right, or they should treat everybody the same way?
so this would be a negative connotation to
Mhm.
the way that they are treating them, right?
Perfect.
Um,
Yeah.
it's a good question. I want to say that no one should be treated negatively for having mental illness or having a child who has autism. On the contrary, I think that if the question were to be a spiritual leader treating someone who has autism more positively, um, should they be doing that, or should everyone be treated the same? And in that case, I would say that I think each person gets what they need to get, positive wise. So if a spiritual leader is giving more attention to someone who has autism, I think that that's fine and that's good. But negatively, I don't like the idea of someone being treated negatively because they didn't choose to have this struggle, and it's bad enough, as I said earlier, like it's hard enough to have a mental illness or to have a developmental disability, that being treated even more negatively by someone in the spiritual or religious community is not something that's positive, and it's not something that I like seeing.
Mhm. All right. Thank you for the answer, man. I know you was about to answer right. Okay. Thank you. The question is, according to statistics, because I know you have been doing a lot of research, probably it's not like something you might say it's the right one, but according to you, which country has the most mental health issues? Or do you have a statistic on that?
So I don't currently have a statistic, but I was thinking about this. I didn't do enough research into this to
Mhm.
have a statistic, but I'm assuming that mental illness or mental so I think in America, mental illness or mental health has been destigmatized enough that people are working on it. They're trying to create and change the environment.
Mhm.
I think in more underdeveloped countries that don't have access to therapists or people who I think in those countries, I think mental illness is still there, but it's not being treated. It's like the idea that if we brush something under the rug, then it doesn't exist. No, that's false. It exists, but we're not talking about it. So because we're not talking about it, therefore it doesn't exist. No, we just got to talk about it and then it will exist, you know?
Mhm.
It's kind of like, oh, I'm going to pretend it's not there, so therefore it's not there. So I don't currently have a statistic, but I would assume that in the more underdeveloped countries or places, or the places that people pretend like mental illness or mental health is not a thing, that's where they are suffering more.
Okay. So as long as we talk about it, we can always find a solution for it. But the thing is, according to what you have been said, is like if we're not talking about it, like pretend it's not there. So mostly we can think it's already there and it's more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So is there a stage or is there an age we can talk about mental illness get worse, or it's like popping up um in the middle of nowhere. So that's when we can talk about it. Is there a certain age somebody has mental illness, or is it at that way at that age it get worse? So according to you, what is the age someone can have, and or when the mental illness get worse?
So it's again, it's a broad, I think it's a broad thing.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it couldn't, I think mental illness can worsen throughout life depending on the environment, depending on mental health within that environment, stressors or even accidents that might happen. Someone might not have a mental illness and then they get into an accident and then it can be caused. Someone could have trauma and then a mental illness can be caused. And so again, I don't exactly know what age, but I think it could happen at any age. Like there's no specific age that it happens. I know
Okay.
that developmental
Mhm.
disabilities, it's before a certain age though.
Oh, okay. So that means there is a difference between mental illness and development disability.
Yeah, so mental illness would be examples such as schizophrenia, bipolar,
Mhm.
um, OCD, while a developmental disability would be like autism or Down syndrome.
Mhm. All right. All right. So there was another question again. It's like, what is the difference between being bipolar and have mental health problem?
So bipolar is one of the mental illnesses.
Mhm.
Um, the difference between that and having, I mean, it's like the difference between having, let's say, OCD and bipolar or schizophrenia and bipolar. I think each specific um, mental illness um, has their characteristics.
Okay. So is there like any example you can brought about both of them?
So I don't know, bipolar would be again, I haven't done too much research into it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm more on the developmental disability side, but bipolar is extreme like highs and extreme lows. Well, there's actually a couple of bipolars, so it just makes that. But again, I haven't done so much research into it. But
Mhm.
the idea is that 1 second you're extremely feeling extremely good, and the next second you're feeling extremely bad.
Mhm. All right, cool. Yeah. If you have to give an advice about both what we have been talking about, like mental illness and spirituality, what it would be?
Thank you. So I think the biggest thing,
Mhm.
remain calm and don't be judgmental. I mean, like each and every person is different. Each and every person has their unique set of struggles, whether it's mental health or mental illness, whether it's developmental disabilities, whether it's neurotypical. Each person is going to have their things. Um, and the biggest thing is not to judge them because they are going through it the same way as, everyone is going through something. And when we set a precedent of I'm not going to judge you for being you, then people can live their lives positively and in a good way. And when they can lead their lives in a positive, good way, they can get the help that they need. Um, and sometimes, especially someone who's struggling with mental illness, it could be their worst day. And not remaining calm or being judgmental or putting them in a box, it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help them to grow and to become the successful people that they know and they could be. So I think the one takeaway, especially on the spirituality religion side, is to maintain a non-judgmental approach and let people live their lives to the best that they can and be there for them because ultimately they need your help. But yeah,
All right. Thanks again, man. So really appreciate it. And like I always said, you're always there. And the last question, just to stop, and if there is another people who wanna, others people wanna ask question. So the last question I have, it's like, how do we deal with a mental unstable person, according to you?
it's a good question. I think it could be different for every person.
Okay.
Um, Setting up boundaries, I think, is a big one. Someone who's mentally unstable is going to try to pull you in and affect your mental health. So, right, as you said earlier, right, we're friends, and if you're going through something, then I might be going through something. But if you're going through something that forces me to go through something, and then I can't live my life the best way possible, then I'm not going to be able to be a really good friend because I'm dealing with whatever you're dealing with. And
Mhm.
so I think to stay emotionally and mentally healthy, the best is to live in a mentally healthy way and set up boundaries, give them the space to be vulnerable, but also have a professional there in your back pocket to make sure that you're staying emotionally and mentally healthy and you can continue to live your life in the best way possible. And then be there as a friend for them and try to help them through whatever it is that they are, but make sure that you come first. Like when you're on an airplane, they say put on your mask first. I think this applies here as well. Because if you don't have that mask over your face when the oxygen drops, you're going down with it. So um, there's a little bit of selfishness before the selflessness.
Mhm.
But ultimately, to try and help everyone, um, make sure to put up those boundaries and have a professional, have someone who can help you through whatever it is that you're going through.
All right. So last thing is like, uh, according to what you just said, putting boundaries. I seen people like say you're putting boundaries because you judge me, and because you see what I'm doing, that's why you don't want to read. That's you judge me for that. Let's take an example right now, and that's the world we live in. It's like I'm working in a psych unit, and I've been seeing like a lot of people coming in, and most of these people, or us, those are people who deal with sexual orientation. You know what I mean when I said that, right?
Hmm.
So, and then even I can start my shift, and I didn't know how the pronoun, how it is. By mistake, I said something I shouldn't say, right? And you see the person going crazy and said, "Oh no, that's judgment because you've been judging me." Instead of say he, I said she, or instead of said she, I said he. So that person run away and said, "I've been judgmental." Or they sometimes, if they want to say or they want to talk about something, and then I set up my boundaries, it feels like they start saying like I'm judgmental, I'm judging them because they chose, because the choice they have been made. Is that set up boundaries? Is it, is that mean being judgmental or not?
I mean, so it depends
Because
on,
I just want to have my conscience clear, you know?
yeah,
Because if I set up my boundaries, I don't want nobody said, "Oh, I've been judging them," you know. So I just have my conscience clear. That's what I'm asking the question.
yeah. Um, I mean, I think that is perception, right?
Yeah.
I'm perce so let's say we're having a conversation and you moved your eyes to the left, right? So I think based on your eye movement to the left, you're judging me for who I am. I think that points more to self-esteem and self-worth and less than what you feel because you're not actively trying to judge them.
Mhm.
I mean, I've known you for a while and I don't think you have a judgmental bone in your body. So like
Oh no.
so no, I don't think that you're judging them. I think that they they're judging themselves and then they're putting it on you. Um because they're not loving themselves. They um I guess they're feeling not comfortable. And so it's easier to point fingers at someone else than to like take it upon yourself. Um I mean, I ultimately I think I fall into the category sometimes too, where I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I judge myself faster than anyone could judge me, so that I don't need to be subject to judgment. But
Okay.
putting it on someone else is not so fair to them. So by you putting up boundaries, I think it's a positive thing, and it's not you judging them, it's you putting up boundaries for yourself.
Okay. All right. That was good. That was good. That was fair talk, and I really appreciate it. As you know, as I always said. And then if you want to say like any other things, you have that mic. You can say any other things you want before we close. If there is anybody who want to ask question, I think so. You can always ask the question in the comment on YouTube because nobody is on the Zoom right now. So the door is open. So you guys who are watching right now, you can ask your question. So I'm watching the YouTube right now too. If can ask the question to Abraham, I can tell him what is the question is. All right. So at the same time, bro, I give you the mic. You can say whatever you want right now because we're about to close.
Sure. Well, just first of all, thank you, Max, for giving me the opportunity to talk on here. And it's been a long time coming. Um, if I could leave you with anything, I think the one thing is let's work together, me, you, and everyone else in the world to try to make this world a better place, a more of a judgment-free zone, something that spirituality is not it's not something that you're being forced to do. It's more of something that you're taking on by yourself. Um, and it's giving people the opportunity to be themselves, but also in a very strategic way, meaning um, I'm going to connect with my, I guess, interpretation of godliness, and I'm not going to be judged for it because I love whatever I'm doing. I'm comfortable in whatever I'm doing, and if any other people have their perception on my reality, that's their perception, not my perception. And again, it's about putting up those boundaries for mental health and trying to live a more positive experience, a more positive well-being, and the more connecting, always learning, always growing, always questioning. No 2 days are the same. Um, Ultimately, just trying to make this world a better place and um, make it more sustainable for future generations.
Okay, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. And there was a question on the comment on the chat of YouTube. They said, um, could you please share some advice on how to support someone who has mental issues?
It's a good question. Again, that could be very broad though. So I'm afraid to make a blanket statement and say, oh, this is what you should do when that specific, person or situation might be different. Um, I think across the board, though, when dealing with mental illness, it's being there for them. Or kind of thinking about it from as best as possible, thinking about it from their shoes, getting their perspective on stuff. So what are you dealing with? Bring me into this. Help me understand what you're going through. I want to help you. And if that specific situation doesn't call for that, if the person doesn't want someone there for them, that's okay too. I respect your boundaries. I respect um your your perspective. So it's kind of like being there for them, and also trying to not judge them for who they are. And I think this could be applied to everyone in every situation, neurotypical, mental illness, developmental disabilities, mental health, whatever it is, it's trying to be there for people in their specific situation. Not taking my situation and putting it into you, it's taking your situation and how can I help?
Mhm. All right. So there is other question. There is other question.
Mhm.
The first question is, do people can be healed totally from mental health?
Healed from mental health. Um, That's a good question. I don't specifically know the answer because I don't know, like I don't um I want to say that they learn how to that a person learns how to cope
Mhm.
with it, and live their lives the best possible way. I don't know that I could, confidently or safely say that someone could be healed from it. But again,
Oh,
this is not
mhm.
talking for the psychological community that, I haven't had enough experience to answer that
Mhm.
question. But if
Mhm.
you're asking like personally, I don't know that you could get healed from it. I know that you can have coping mechanisms or um,
Mhm.
strategies within your life to kind of live your life the best way possible, living with that mental illness.
Okay. Another question. Can a person having mental issue can really love someone?
I don't see why not. I think, yeah, I don't see why not. You can love someone no matter what your specific situation is.
All right. I think so. That's gonna be all for tonight. That's gonna be all for tonight. And then, like I said, really appreciate it, man. And thank you again. And I'm not gonna stop saying thank you because when I make the call, you were answering and you said yes because we have been playing on that. It's been over 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, over 2 years, 2 years, and God made it happen. And thank Hashem for that. Um, and I think so. Everything is good and everything is cool. It's not gonna be your first time. It's not gonna be your last as well. So anytime I want to have something, I think so. You'll be always available for me. It's depend. Like I
Sure.
always said, you take the time, you take the day, no problem. No matter what, I'm gonna always put it aside because that's a good service. You're doing. That's a big favor, and I thank you for that. So, any last word before we close this session?
I don't have any specific last words, but thank you so much, Max, for having me, and I'm happy that I was able to share a little bit and I get my feet wet, a little bit being interviewed, and I hope I did okay. So,
All right, all right. All right, man. Don't worry about that. Even your feet is wet, that's cool. It's just just take a towel and wash it up. You wipe it up. Yeah. So like I said to everybody who watch the show, so you can always catch up on YouTube later on because it's recorded and it's gonna stay on YouTube. Um, so don't worry. So if you got any other question, you can always ask it because as a God worshippers, that's what we are here for. And I don't think so. I got a lot of more to say. That's all for tonight. Avram, thank you so much, brother, and keep spreading the Torah. That's a good journey. And I think so. I'm gonna keep working with you until the time is in, man.
thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Max.
All right, no problem, man. Anytime.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Bye. So all right, all right, all right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I think so. I'm gonna close right now. Like I said to everybody, that was a good time spending together with my friend, and we have been working for 3 years until 4, and that was great. And I hope if you guys have someone else you wanna join or you wanna recommend, go to God Worshippers or www.godworshippers.org ou bien www.godworshippers.org ou du moins ou capable toujours écrire nous juste pour nous capable faire nous part de un mot aimé que nous t'apporter dans le show à participer dans le show ensemble avec nous et parce que on va pas regretter ça parce que tout le monde bénéficie de ça et c'est pas jeudi et encore une fois c'est pas lancement officiel c'est pas lancement officiel show et lancement officiel show fait en avril si Dieu veut. Et ça, c'était juste un petit avant-goût de Saga Shippers qui a déjà accompli pour vous. Et c'est pas seulement jeudi. Et nous avons planifié là, chaque fois que nous fait ça, nous mettons au courant juste pour capable toujours participer. Et nous excusez-nous pour le fait qu'on n'a pas de sur plateau avec nous jeudi. Et c'est dans YouTube que vous suivre. All right, keep it up. May God bless you all. So we did start with prayer. We're gonna close with prayer. And I hope you guys gonna enjoy the moment. And I'm about to pray wherever you are. Close your eyes, bow your head. And I'm about to pray. Thank you, Lord, for the amazing time we have been spent together. And we ask you to bless our brother Avraham, who has been the guest for tonight, and me as a host, and the whole organization you have been put me in. May God, you lead our path, our leader, who always been there, who always looking for some nice and idea. Thank you for the Holy Spirit you put in her and make her always thinking about good stuff for the moving of your kingdom. And we ask you, God, to bless which everyone who has been watching this show with us. And we have been asking questions. And we thank you for that, God. Thank you for all the members of God Worshippers right now who's like praying and meditate and read the Bible and who want to do your will, God. Keep us tight and keep us together. Make us keep fellowship together. And at the end of the age, when you call us, we'll be glad and you can say, and by using your own word, come, our faithful servant. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. All right, everybody. That was a pleasure being with you tonight. That was your brother Jay from God Worshippers. So always check our video on YouTube. We have some medical stuff for you. If you have some disease, you can always ask question. We always been opening to listening and to answer your question as long as we can. And if we don't have the answer, we always promise you we can go and do the research, and maybe you can get satisfied with all the answers we can provide for you. Other than that, it's not the first time. It's not going to be the last as well. So thank you so much. Have a blessed day. May God bless you and have a nice week with God Worshippers. Regardez-vous, mes amis, lundi, prière midi, mercredi, prière midi, vendredi. Et nous avons tout, nous fait service nous premier avec dernier samedi dans le mois, Night of Glory, avec Sister Stéphanie et staff. Nous avons un call center qui réouvre encore. Et si vous voulez faire part de God Worshippers, écrit, allez dans site website nous qui c'est www.godworshippers.org. Écris-nous et nous pour nous capables de faire part de l'association qui gagne Global Vision. Thank you again. May God bless you all. Sister Stephanie, we're at the now because we're done right now. Bye.